The flower's dying. It needs water.
Disgust on every street corner.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
How close are you to...
Wait.
Aren't you a...
She's quiet.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
Not really.
As long as you remain here, I will make sure you don't have to worry about your health.
Don't think you can do much about it. Damage is done.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
The pain. It's here again.
As for me...
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm capable of dealing with this.
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any new...
Is there anything else?
Really?
Unfortunately, you are not the only person who needs...
Well, perhaps you're right.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Do you require
Do you know?
Despite what you think about this place.
Well, at least...
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick.
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Nurse Brett.
Good evening.
Do you require...
I will...
Nurse.
I'll try, Doctor.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me... Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doc.
Do you need any...
I'm afraid
Our job brings us into contact with all kinds of infections, Milton. There's no shame in being ill while you're in a hospital.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. I get the feeling you don't fall sick often. And thanks, anyway.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening.
I'd like to see...
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. Another night with the glorious battalion.
Yes, Jonathan?
May I ask you some questions?
Please do. I have promised to answer you.
I bid you farewell. For now, my lady.
It's safer here than anywhere else in the East End. Another night with the glorious battalion.
it! Why is this so difficult every time?
That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
You're exhausting yourself.
No.
Nurse Brown, you don't have to. I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
I understand the gesture, Doctor. An immediate answer to an emergency situation. But this can't be a long-term solution.
Thank you for your understanding, my dear colleague. And be assured, I have total control of my consumption.
Do you need any medical assistance yourself, Doctor?
Come on, don't be ridiculous, dear colleague.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Do you need medical...
The proximity...
Don't take too many risks with your health, Mr. Chidana. None of us are immune to this disease.
And that is a good thing. Death and disease is a constant reminder of our mortality. But you have my thanks, Dr. Reed.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful. It never ceases to amaze me how you...
Resources, but we have some of the most brilliant minds in London at Pembroke.
I cannot enter. Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Yes. Unlike the flu, the infected begin to show an increase in outwardly aggressive behavior. More than simple agitation. Once docile people become violent.
You mean like rabies? Is there a chance we could create a vaccine, Jonathan, like Pasteur? By the stove, that would be smashing.
There's a lot we're not seeing here. But it is spreading, and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
I admit it did occur to me. Blood seems to be the common factor in all of this.
I totally agree. We're in uncharted territory here. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but imagine the possibilities.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as I said, I needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
I need to talk to you, Edgar.
Please do so.
So you manage a hospital financed by a vampire?
Yes. Pembroke was founded by Lady Ashbury. She's also our largest donor.
If I may inquire, how did you meet her?
Well, Jonathan, she sought me out and offered me the position. It's been a very profitable partnership for both parties.
A convenient yet expensive way to have a fresh supply of blood on hand, day and night, don't you think?
All vampires drink blood by nature. Me, I praise the lady's exemplary moral fiber.
Do you know anything about the vampire hunters in the East End?
Without a doubt, it's the Guard of Priwen. Zealots to the last man.
Where do they come from?
Once they shared the Brotherhood's ideology on non-intervention, but they concluded vampires were a scourge.
They're definitely well organized and equipped.
They're extremely dangerous and not to be trifled with. To them, you're a feral beast, and I, your accomplice.
Nurse Crane will not be returning to Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, really? Did something happen? She seems such a very capable woman.
She was blackmailing Lady Ashbury. Thought she was murdering patients as some sick upper-class game.
Nurse Crane was playing a dangerous game. She's lucky Lady Ashbury abhors violence.
We'll talk later. It's locked, all right. I never thought I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear.
Good place for a stroll. Step away! Die! Leave so fucking fast! Watch out for them He's dead! Fuck, it's fast! Fuck! Murdering bastard!
It's locked. My dear sister, I don't know if I have the strength. Are you all right, miss?
I don't know. Who were those people? They wanted to kill me. Why?
They've lost their minds in the epidemic. They won't come back for now.
You seem to know a lot about them, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm investigating this disease.
I am Xiaoxun. Thank you so much for helping me, Mr. Reed. I must go to the cemetery now. Goodbye.
Shouldn't you go back home, where you'll be safe?
Maybe later. But for now, I need to talk to my husband at the cemetery, Mr. Reed.
Carnage. Is Father Whitaker's disciple among the bodies, I wonder? This man's far too old to be Samuel. No. By the look of his clothes, this man's a docker. Samuel isn't here. I had better follow the blood trail. As I feared, Samuel no longer preaches the good word. I have this thirst for blood. It's locked, all right.
Oh my god!
Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence, and I need sadness.
I've seen many deaths in my life, and we all grieve in our own way. Some stay silent, or need to shout. Others need company, and some just can't stand it.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
Tell me how your husband died, Xiao Shun.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come? Or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
To be honest, I don't know. Please forgive me if I've upset you. We must all honor our departed loved ones in our own way.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician, one of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
No. But I wanted you to know that you have done nothing wrong. Unlike me.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiao Shun. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
How do you feel? Physically speaking, I mean.
I'm as well as can be expected, Doctor.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I heard that she used to help the refugees, but unfortunately you don't see her around anymore.
Goodbye for now.
You know you can trust me. Why have you not spoken to me?
Since I can't reveal myself to my mother now, I must find a discreet spot to attend the ceremony. Mother, why have you come here? This is proving far worse than I imagined. My mother would die if she were to see me in this state. I must wait.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Why kill my Mary and stick her here in this cold, god-awful place?
These are the legal requirements for the epidemic, madam.
Oh, Avery, I feel so tired. Please take me home.
Yes, madam.
Oh, Mary. What have I done? If I could only change one thing. One thing. This is a nightmare.
Jonathan, there is nothing you can do but accept it.
What brings you here?
I thought you could use the company. I am so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
I wish the tears would come. But I'm empty. And I feel a hypocrite.
Let your pain run free, Jonathan. Don't smother it. What you feel is your humanity. Don't be so quick to lose it.
She had been scouring the most dangerous parts of London in search of me. And it led to her death.
Jonathan, don't.
I still hear her last thoughts. They echo in my head. Her mind shattered, and it haunts me.
Jonathan, stop. Listen carefully. You must come to terms with this. You must learn to live with what happened.
How can I? I've destroyed my family. My poor mother. I can't even console her.
Don't you see? You're doing the work of our enemies, feeding your remorse. We are weakest when we grieve, and the guilt blurs our senses.
And so this is why you're here. To warn me. You've felt this pain yourself. You too have endured this.
I don't want to lose you, Jonathan. I've lost so many friends. Loved ones I cherished. Pray for Mary's forgiveness, if you must.
I'm not a religious man. You should know that.
This is not about you forgiving yourself. This is for her. This is you telling Mary how sorry you are.
What should I do then?
St. Mary's Church is not far from here. Go there and make your peace. Find the solace you need.
My lady wants me to confess.
No, Jonathan. It's you who wants to confess, I think.
It's locked. I cannot enter.
This one's mine! Yeah! It's an inch! Christ! He's dead! And off to church he goes, a newborn seeking divine consent to lick the blood from the soft and pointy crown.
Who are you? Make yourself known.
Newborn, you reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin, forget your old weaker self.
What do you want from me?
Ascalon does not approve of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our pastures.
So your name is Ascalon?
Ascalon's will is vampire law. Learn them, abide by them, or I shall return as your judge and jury.
These immortals try my patience with their plans and unsolicited counsel.
I'd head back if I were you, sir.
Hello again, miss. Very well. Goodbye, then.
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest, as you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She was murdered.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What words would you like to say to your poor sister?
I'm so sorry, Mary. I promise to find who is responsible for all this. I'll put an end to this horror.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
There. I confessed to that vicar. Do I feel better? Only time will tell. Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
Why?
I sent...
You sent a man... Good evening, Mr.
It's far...
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
If you propagate the devil's work, you'll perish by the devil's work. Such is the law of the Lord.
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime, and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
You again? What do you want this time?
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
I saw her wandering the streets. Yesterday, I think. She didn't recognize me. People say she's lost it. It's a sad story.
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peters?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peters.
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Do you have any news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
It appears those who dare to get health care from that bitch are never seen again. Something fishy going on there, for sure.
Do you need help, sir?
To be honest, I'd prefer you take a look at my stuff. I'd rather be rich and sick than the contrary.
I don't quite agree, but I won't argue with you. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
Really? Free? Don't take it personally, but charity usually comes at a price. Human nature being what it is.
Right then. Show me what...
I should never have taken up my father.
Good evening, Mr. Petrescu.
Surely you have someone else to bother, Mr. Doctor.
Tell me everything.
I do not...
How do you feel, Mr.
I need nothing.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
Have you any news on Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
It seems her dispensary isn't so busy nowadays. Good thing for the Swanborough cordial.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling. Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
Have you any recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Nobody dares to enter the dispensary now. Rumours say the nurse has gone mad.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
I'm cheap and I'm close.
It's locked.
Die, vermin!
Stop it! Stop it, Leech!
remember you.
Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me, chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one. The flower's dying. It needs water.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
Jonathan, my sincere condolences for your loss.
Your kindness is much appreciated, my lady.
Is there anything you require?
I spied my mother at the funeral. Have you ever revealed yourself to a member of your family?
No, Jonathan. And I'd advise you even from thinking about it.
But what if I was close to someone and wished to tell them the truth?
Fear, loathing, disgust. And then they will plead to be turned. They will see it as salvation. Then there's the risk of gaining the attention of vampire hunters.
Are we then condemned to lie to those we love?
We are creatures of deception, my friend. But this is more for their sake than ours.
Are we condemned to attend the funerals of all we love?
Dying is the final act of life, Jonathan. Present company excluded. Accepted.
I don't know what to expect. Am I cursed to an eternity of solitude?
With time, we Ekon tend to go into isolation. If we survive long enough, that is.
As a practitioner of the medical sciences, I'm prepared for the death of loved ones. But mourning in the shadows, deprived of sharing one's grief.
We are no longer a part of the circle of life and death. We are undead, my friend, and so we are outcasts.
Goodbye, my lady. Until we meet again. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me, Nurse, did you know Dr. Tippett was addicted to medication?
I suspected this behavior for some time, but never dared to ask him about it. Until the day he confessed to me.
Why would he confess to you about his addiction, Nurse Brannigan?
Don't you know you doctors can't hide anything from a nurse? We're always there, even if you don't notice us.
Do you consider yourselves our confessors, Nurse Brannigan?
I wouldn't dare, Dr. Reed. But I'm intrigued. How did you discover Dr. Tippett's secret?
What can I say? I seem to have a knack for discovering secrets.
And for hiding them as well.
Do you approve of his addiction?
Of course I don't approve. But I understand he needs it to fight the exhaustion. Let's hope he'll stop injecting himself once the epidemic is over.
And what if he doesn't?
Then we'll have to convince him to stop. I believe he's still in control of his addiction, for now, but we must remain vigilant.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
month? A year? You have the right to disapprove of our methods.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did you hide such crucial information?
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown in jail. I can't let that happen. I won't.
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs is help and comprehension. Not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have done.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reed.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you, then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words. I mean, I'm still here. If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Sure we're making a difference.
You always need words to calm the children.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair...
I cannot enter.
I managed to arrange to have you buried. I hope that might help. You don't mind if I search your pockets, do you, sir? You won't need any of these anyway. I'm not stealing from you, mister. I'm only redistributing your belongings to people who need them more than you. You see, no one has claimed your body, sir, so it would be such a shame to bury you with your valuables. I will not forget you, sir, and I thank you for your generous donation.
It's locked, all right. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
You should be proud of what you've achieved. This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what I must do.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
The pain.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Well, they are not far wrong. The hospital is almost crawling with vampires.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The guard of Priwen would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you, Edgar. Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks. The flower's dying. It needs water.
It's locked.
It seems the Priwen are redoubling their patrols in the district. I must be more careful.
Fear no evil. We do the Lord's work here.
Please, sir.
These want to let you through. Watch yourselves. He's spotted. Watch out, boys.
In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust. It's locked, all right.
Sorry, sir. Over there! There's one of them stabbing me! Take it back, this! He's dead! Vermin!
It's locked, all right. I cannot enter.
Sir, no civilians allowed.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir, but I rose to the challenge.
You can't impersonate a doctor. You can't improvise a medical education. People could die at your hands.
You're absolutely right, sir. But as a field surgeon, it was more like being a butcher.
Do you believe you have really helped these people?
My ratings were within the averages of the regiment. I saved lives, Dr. Reed. Does that not say enough about triage and war surgery?
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision? You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chidana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
How dare you steal from the dead, Rakesh? Is that what your pawnbrokers is really about?
These people are dead, sir. What they possessed could be useful for the living. And I'm sure they would agree if they could speak.
You should show respect for the dead. What about their loved ones who may treasure these items you sell?
The bodies I watch over are the unwanted and undesired, sir. I would never deprive anyone of their family artifacts.
Can you tell me anything about recent events in the hospital?
Oh, goodness me. This whole story is such a shame, sir. I have no idea how it happened.
What are you talking about?
Poor Miss Jones. Her body is missing. Someone stole it.
Miss Jones's body has gone missing?
Yes. The body was brought here this morning, and now it's gone.
Who could have stolen a corpse?
That's exactly what I asked myself for the whole day. Who could do such a thing? These are terrible and shameful times, Dr. Reed.
Please show me what you...
Of course. It's just...
It's locked, all right. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Goodbye, Milton.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that.
Oh, Jonathan. I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent. For there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now, please, let me be.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
The world is bleak, but maybe the pain we feel is the best compass for making it a better place.
How can we repair the world, Dr. Reed, when mankind is the biggest problem? Yes, the world will be a much better place when we're gone.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I had shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
You realize your son could try to kill himself again. He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Good evening, sir.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Continues.
Too much energy for so little result. You are...
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Tell me, Thelma, what do you really know about vampires?
I saw one and he saw me. I watched him hunt and kill. I saw his terrible wounds heal as his victim died. And then I knew I was saved.
You mean you actually saw a vampire? Here in London?
Yes. And it has been the answer to my pain. I must drink and kill to regenerate my decaying body. I am a vampire too.
You have no idea what problems your claim could cause if heard by the wrong people, Miss Howcroft. You must stop this nonsense, now.
Why fear the truth? Strange things live in the dark, Dr. Reed. Strange and ancient beings that were here before this island even had a name.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage. Speak, Doctor. Why are they hunting me down?
It was a misunderstanding. These hunters were in fact looking for a very different creature, but they mistakenly put their sights on you.
I knew it. I have become undone. Those hunters have discovered me, but they don't know what I'm capable of.
If you'll accept some advice from a petty mortal, I think you should assume a low profile and just quietly disappear into the shadows.
You are right. And you have served me well, mortal. Take this as a reward for your time. Perhaps I will allow you to drink deep of my blood. One day.
Thank you. I'll keep that proposition in mind. I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
The daily routine.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Can you tell me anything about recent events at the hospital?
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Disgust on every street
And what of my own life?
Don't worry, sir. We're going to take care of you.
The flower's dying. It needs water. Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss should cut me good.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favour.
Only the strongest survive, then? Survival at all costs. Is that all you think about?
I'm the toughest bastard you'll ever meet, Dr. Reed. And I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. As long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
We can't escape the consequences of our actions. The past catches up with us in the end.
I ain't afraid of death. I don't hide who I am. I live my life honestly, which is more than I could say for most folks.
And who are you, then?
I'm the leader of the Wet Boot Boys. One day, I'll leave this shitty place and punch in the face all who thought I would not come back.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Cox. I hope you're starting to take better care of yourself.
This place is full of sickness and decay. How could I get better in such a dump?
Consider yourself lucky that I'm treating all of my patients equally. But don't push your luck.
Don't play the innocent with me. I'm sure you have good reasons to act this way. And also weaknesses that can be exploited.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Safe place right now. Murdering bastard!
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move. I cannot enter.
Something sweet. My guess is they're...
In the meantime, the boys are waiting for our... well, your orders, my sweet queen.
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So, tell me about your gang, then.
What? Have you got a death wish? You really want me to answer that?
Well, yes. You seem so proud of your status. Why not tell me who you're working for?
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The Wet Boot Boys work for me. All of them. Situation round here is better than other districts because of us. Because of me.
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier, I can respect that.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here like everywhere else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be more efficient.
More efficient? Really? You should probably tell Edwina that guns are useless against diseases and infections.
Incredible. You know what? You're lucky she can't hear you right now. She's more smart than patient. My sweet queen of the docks.
Do you need medical help, sir?
I feel fine, Dr. Reed.
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal life, aren't you?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby. Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reed. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I ain't paying any bill left by Clay.
I'm not here to collect payment, Miss
Edwina Cox. So what do you want then? Fancy buying something from me, maybe?
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those ready to embrace their destiny.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld, Miss Cox.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets, if you must know.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole will take advantage of you.
You sound like you're thinking of somebody in particular.
Take the gravediggers of Southwark. They must pay me every week, but it looks like they forgot who gave them permission to steal from the dead.
Looting corpses in a mass grave. That is a new low.
Whatever. Hey, since you're a doctor and all, maybe you can access that forbidden area and remind those bastards what they owe.
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region only responds to violence and threats.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Booth Digby looks at you with love-struck eyes. Tell me, Edwina, is the feeling mutual?
You have no idea how refreshing it can be for a woman to receive all the pleasure she needs. For once.
I'll take your word for it.
What is it, Doctor? A woman's not supposed to talk about these things.
I'm not that easily shocked, Miss Cox. You can speak freely about your lover, if you so wish.
The poor bastard is good to me, if you must know. He makes me feel good. And that's a first.
So you're just like any other couple, after all, are you not?
Yeah, we're so ordinary that I'd put a bullet in his head if he ever cheated on me.
Tell me about the man you and Booth killed, Edwina.
The bastard killed one of us and received retribution. There's nothing else to say.
What happened exactly?
I don't know, and I don't care. One of ours was killed by that communist bastard, but he didn't brag for long.
So you have no idea what really happened, but you executed him anyway.
No one messes with the wet boot boys, Doctor. This is our territory, and this is our law.
And your conscience is clear. You kill without hesitation.
Violence is an efficient tool, Dr. Reed, when used properly.
So you decide who lives and who dies, just like that.
Yes, Doctor. Just like that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it's my way of dealing with troublemakers.
Can I offer you my medical help, Miss Cox?
I'm fine, thank you.
Tell me about the man.
The bastard.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have. Pleasure. It's been a while since we've seen any new faces around here.
Mark my words, miss. These murders are the work of a vampire.
A vampire? Whatever do you mean?
I'm a tracker of these creatures. A vampire hunter.
You best be off to your...